A guaranteed income pilot project called the Chicago Future Fund has just released its latest report. The project, run by Equity and Transformation, or EAT Chicago, is based in the city's west side, where high unemployment and high rates of police activity, arrests, and incarceration have challenged local residents. CFF's Guaranteed Income Project provided $500 a month from March 2023 to February 2024 to 100 formerly incarcerated individuals. Joining me to tell us all about the results is Rachel Pyon, Director of Research and the lead on the Chicago Future Fund pilots at Equity and Transformation Chicago. Looking at your the results of the report, it looks like the ripple effect from people having access to $500 cash a month was enormous. $500 in today's economy is not that much money, but what impact did such a modest sum have on the lives of individuals, even those who were actively working, maybe who had housing, but of course many struggled with jobs and housing, right?
Correct. So when we talk about $500 a month, we understand that this money is not life-changing by any means, especially in this economy. $500 isn't that much, but it can be enough to provide a little bit of that cushion that I was talking about, some financial lifeboat for those who need it most. And when we're looking at those three neighborhoods that I discussed, Austin, West Garfield Park, and Inglewood, actually, the highest per capita income of those three neighborhoods is Austin at $20,000 a year. And then West Garfield Park is at the lower end with $11,000 a year. And so we know that that money is going to make a pretty significant impact when that's compared to the per capita income that's already coming in. And so in the case of the Chicago Future Fund, that $500 a month can go towards, helping pay off a car note, helping pay for groceries for their families, or even paying for transportation to get to and from jobs or job interviews. And that's exactly what our participants use that money on.
Right wing opponents of guaranteed income projects, or for that matter, any kind of government or institutional help, often say that such help discourages people from being independent and, searching for jobs on their own and being financially independent. It makes them dependent, they say. What did your report find about? In Chicago, about the ways in which the financial help supported people? Did it make them more or less dependent on aid?
Well, I think for starters, I just want to say very clearly that it is absolutely not true that guaranteed income decreases motivation for seeking employment. As we've mentioned, the $500 a month is not enough to sustain any individual and be solely reliant on that money. Um, in our program specifically, 92% of those who experience unemployment were actively looking for work. That means applying for anywhere from 8 to 50 jobs a month. And so that did not change regardless. But as I was mentioning before, unfortunately, having a record is a major barrier to securing stable employment. And so, despite seeking that employment, they're consistently shut out of the workforce. But we did not find any data that showed that people were less motivated to find employment.
And then housing is also such an important issue. Often, housing is a critical matter when it comes to people's financial stability, mental and emotional and physical well being. It's also often the lack of housing that gets most criminalized. What did you find? What did guaranteed income offer in terms of stability when it comes to housing?
Yeah, so at the beginning of our program, which was in March 2023, there were 35% of our participants who reported that they experienced homelessness at any point in the year prior. But then throughout the program, we actually saw that the average rate of homelessness was 24%, so it decreased by 11 percentage points from the first survey. And on top of that, the guaranteed income itself was most used to help pay bills that are related to housing, specifically rent, grocery costs, things like that. And so not only is that guaranteed income able to improve housing for the individual who's receiving that money, but also for folks who live in that household as well, for their family members, for their kids. for their loved ones. And so we see that guaranteed income not only improves the housing for the individual and the recipient, but across the entire household.
So what's next, Rachel? You've had a couple of rounds of this guaranteed income so far. It's a pilot program, but there've been a lot of pilot programs around the country. How do you build on what you've already done?
So right now, Equity and Transformation is focusing on sharing our report widely across the state of Illinois, not just Chicago, so that we can continue advocating for a statewide guaranteed income program. We think that it is great for us to have this opportunity to host a pilot program ourselves. However, we would love to see a guaranteed income program that's across Illinois altogether for system impacted folks. We are currently advocating for that funding to come from cannabis tax revenue, knowing that, cannabis, a lot of our folks have been locked up for cannabis related charges. And so we think it's only equitable to take that money that's coming in now that the cannabis has been legalized recreationally, and use that to fund a statewide guaranteed income program.
And finally, of course, we're living in very strange times where we have billionaires remaking our government who have relied on the inequality and have benefited from the inequality that so many of us struggle with. Do you fear that the current federal administration could attack, dismantle, or make less possible any kind of statewide guaranteed income project?
Of course, there's always going to be the fear of what happens given the current political climate. We can't say for sure whether or not how deeply it's going to affect our advocacy strategy, but regardless of what's happening in the White House, in the Capitol, even, we are trying to make sure that we educate our folks to build power through real people who are experiencing this financial hardship and could benefit from a guaranteed income program. And so we're going to continue to do what we do. We're going to continue to build base, to share our findings with other people who may be skeptical, and yeah, hopefully get this done.